Good morning. I call the regularly scheduled Board of Selectmen meeting for Monday, June 6th, 2022 to order. First order of business is Pledge of Allegiance. The absence of Charles, is here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have one item to add to the agenda, and that would be Guilford Green plein air painters for Ukraine to raise funds to heal Ukraine. It has been approved by the committee. Is there a motion to add that to the agenda as item 11.6?
So moved. Second.
Please try your minds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstaining, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. All right. Item 3, public forum, limited to 3 minutes on any agenda item. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board in public forum? Sir, come on up. Come on up to the corner. And state your name and address for the record, please.
My name's Kirk Griffin, 638 Westlake Avenue. And I'm here. I understand you'll be voting on my application for the Shellfish Commission. Be very interested in serving on this commission. Have had a lot of experience with boating and the shoreline. So
wonderful. Well, thank you for coming this morning to introduce yourself to us, and also for your willingness to serve.
Thank you.
We have a special guest here today. Mitch, would you like to introduce your guest?
Sure. This is Ryan Sternberg. He is a rising sophomore at Muhlenberg College. He is shadowing the HR department today, and we're very happy to have him. He's from Avon. Came down this morning. He'll be with us today. So any questions, fire away at him.
And is there some commonality between the two of you?
Well, we both went to Muhlenberg College. So
he's still going.
He's still going. I graduated, a little while ago.
But Ryan, welcome to Guilford, and welcome to today's meeting. Anybody else in public forum? Anybody on Zoom really looking to go public forum?
Yes, I'm here to speak about paving a mountain trail.
Certainly. And
yeah,
name and address for the record. Name and address for the record, please.
Keith Shove, 229 Shore Drive, Guilford, Connecticut. I live one house away from Mountain Trail, and it would certainly eliminate a lot of problems if you do pave it. You're out here continually maintaining the road. There's so much erosion that goes into the lake, and I just hope you get it done. It'll end a lot of problems with runoff into the lake and unsafe conditions on the road because of the steepness and the gravel and the millings. So hopefully we can get it done. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Anyone else wishing to address the board?
Yes, I.
Either raise your hand or just say you want to speak.
This is Cheryl Buckley, 126 Sunset Circle in Guilford.
Good morning, Cheryl.
Hi, I'm again on here questioning Mountain Trail Road. The lake has faced a lot of challenges to its health. This is a probable cause of lake contamination, and I would strongly urge that the Board of Selectmen address this and hopefully make some corrections. Thank you very much.
Wonderful, Cheryl. Thank you very much for your comments. Anyone else wishing to address the board? Anyone else? Going once, going twice.
Sorry.
Julie, that's quite all right.
Julie Schlesel, 177 Stepstone Hill Road. Will there be an issue on about the basketball later?
We don't have anything on the agenda, but we can certainly do an update under old business.
Old business.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be happy.
We'll see my last one.
So given that we'll most likely entertain it under old business, if you'd like to comment on it at this point, feel free to do so.
Oh,
you weren't ready? I'm sorry.
yeah, I wasn't ready.
We'll give you time. All
okay.
Right?
All right. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, let's move on to item 4, and that's to approve the minutes, the May 16th, 2022 regular meeting.
Matt, Matt, you also have the public hearing on the extension.
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
Thank you. All right, let's convene the public hearing on the ordinance amendment to extend the temporary moratorium on cannabis establishments in the town of Guilford. As folks may recall, the board back, I think in the fall, was it the this fall, I think, we made the determination that even though cannabis has been legalized in the state of Connecticut, that we were not at this point prepared to make a recommendation on the sale, cultivation, production, and distribution of cannabis products in Guilford. So we had given ourselves to the end of June to make that decision. As I think some of you know, we engaged Zen City, the social media company, which has a digital polling service, which in addition to the poll that was put up on the town website and shared by several groups in town, that will help to inform us. We don't have any of the data back from that at this point. Also, our new town planner, Jamie Stein, is very much interested in the engagement process with the community, which she intends to lead. She's had a couple of projects in front of her, when she started on February 14th, not the least of which was the affordable housing project, the zoning rewrite projects going on, and also the fact that she's contending with staff challenges because we don't have a zoning enforcement officer, even though we're using a consultant. So she asked that if we could extend it to December 30th. And I'm very comfortable with that. So that's the nature of the public hearing. And it by our charter, we are required, because we used an ordinance to do the extended prohibition, or the original prohibition. So we need to amend that ordinance, and that's why we're having a public hearing. So does anyone wish to comment on the extension of the moratorium on cannabis retail, cultivation, production, and or distribution to December 31st, 2022? Anyone have any comments or questions? Come on. Well, yep. Just name and address for the record. I hate to do that to you again.
Kirk Griffin, 638 Westlake Avenue. I would support the continuation of the moratorium. That seems like a reasonable thing. That the issues that towns and states has had are resulting from the growing of these products in their area has brought in organized crime and just terrible things. I support what you're doing.
Thank you very much. All right, well, welcome, Selectman Federici. Welcome on board. Muted.
Yeah, hi, everybody. Sorry I was late. Had a little situation here at work, but we're back on track.
I hate it when civic life gets in the way of your professional life, huh?
Yeah, I'll fill you in later.
Yeah. Okay, anyone else wishing to comment on the proposal to extend the moratorium?
I have a question. Is this the appropriate time? So is there a statutory deadline for this if we extend till December 30th?
That might be something for Pete to answer. I think we can continue to do this as long as we want. The issue here is it becomes de facto allowable if we don't have a prohibition in place. So that means folks could apply for a license through planning and zoning. And planning and zoning has not yet weighed in on what would be the most appropriate place if we were to allow it. So I think that falls to the planning and zoning's responsibilities, less so ours. I think we had a conversation that at least this individual felt more comfortable not using the zoning code for social engineering purposes in terms of determining the viability of doing that in our community, much like alcohol or some other things. So planning and zoning would be forced to go thumbs up or thumbs down on an application. So that's kind of why we've pushed it off. Okay. Anyone else? All right, with that, I'll close the public hearing and then we'll be taking it up later in the agenda. Tracy, thank you for that reminder. All right, let's go to approval of minutes. May 16th, 2022, regular meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Any comments, questions, changes, et cetera? I had none. We're good. All right, let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
those in the room?
Aye.
That motion carries. Item 5, Town Engineer Janice Blasiak. Good morning, Janice.
Morning. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Good.
5.1 is discuss and take possible action on award of RFQ number 1-2122, engineering services for Lake Quantico Dam and downstream culvert replacement.
Okay, so we put out an RFQ and RFP process for consultants to come on board, engineering services to replace or rebuild the dam and the downstream culverts that go under the road, which are deteriorating as well. We had 8 submissions for the RFQ. We rated them as a committee. It was myself, Kevin McGee, and Michael Cicciarella, the assistant town engineer, were the committee who rated the RFQs, and we selected 4 of those firms to be interviewed and to submit proposals. We performed the interviews and then issued the RFP document for them to then submit. And all 4 firms obviously met the qualifications for interviewing by the committee, and then we did receive proposals, and I believe I submitted to you all the proposals we received. And GZA was the lowest proposal that we received, and one of our highly rated respondents as well. So feel very comfortable with them. I had a few follow-up questions just to be sure everything was completely covered in the scope, given some of the difference in cost we saw. Yeah. So I sent them a pretty detailed email, which they responded to assure me that all the things that I had asked were included in their proposal. So feeling good about that, and looking to go ahead and award to them the entirety of their proposal, including the alternative design concept and the letter of map revision and all the other items that were, identified as necessary work for the project.
Questions? Just a little way of background, Janice. The reason we're doing this is that the dam is
Rated poor.
It's rated poor by the state and is prone to.
So yeah, it's rated poor in its condition, and that we've just actually put some material in front of the dam to kind of shore it up a little bit. There's some erosion going on in front of the dam. There's some stones that keep moving on top of the dam, but it's also hydraulically insufficient. It overtops in the 2 or 4 year storm event, which is not a good situation because you have water going everywhere, which can cause problems, obviously. So we'll be doing a full hydraulic analysis of the lake and the dam. It'll likely need to be upgraded in terms of its capacity. And we're gonna also obviously be cognizant of the scenery, the significance of the area, and as well as the culverts under the road. There's 3 pipes that go under the road. Those were undermined. Public Works went ahead and we got permits from both the state and our Wetlands Commission to put some material underneath those pipes for the meantime in order to shore them up to make sure we don't lose the road there in the meantime. So
Great.
I remember talking about this a while ago, but will this be the first significant repair or replacement to this dam? Or
there was a repair done, looking in the files, I believe back in the 90s, there was some work done to the spillway itself, but nothing to the entire dam. There was a study done in 2009, I believe it was, by Don Ballou, which also explored the idea of dredging the lower lake as well, and replacing the dam as a kind of one combined project, and the culverts. So that was already envisioned back in 2009 as something that needed to be done. And they also explored dredging, but the dredge materials were not ideal, meaning that would cost a lot to get rid of it. It wasn't like good gravel that you could sell, as you typically hope to get when you do a dredge project. So it was going to be a very costly undertaking, and I believe there's been environmental studies done by the environmental planner and, Friends of the Lake, kind of identifying kind of what they want to see down at the end of that lake. And it wasn't necessarily to completely dredge it out. Doing a lot of weed control and things like that. So we have that study that was done, and we'll be coordinating in terms of environmental, ideas for the lake, lower part of the lake with this project.
Dennis, thank you for those comments. In 2009, I was sitting in on a different board, and I do recall that showed up on the capital plan around that time. So now we're 13 years later and around to it. Although we've been talking about this for a couple of years. So, and I also agree that the criticality of that dam for the preservation and maintenance of Lake Quantified itself is critical, if I'm not mistaken. Kevin, I think, can you represent the Friends of Lake Quantified? They're supportive of this initiative.
Yeah, as part of our Lake Quantified subcommittee meetings, we've been discussing the lake health and stuff and the management plan there, and they're supportive of the dam upgrades and some of the new features which will be added to the dam for future lake controls.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Is there any possibility of state funding or bond funding or anything for the project itself?
We're exploring that, but unfortunately, right now, the bulk of funding for dam projects is related to water supply dams, for reservoirs, and this doesn't qualify for that. It's a Class BB low hazard dam. But we are continuing to look into any possible funding. The culverts itself, because it is a roadway culvert, there's a road over it, may qualify for some like local bridge or state bridge funding. So those will be explored as well. So it's kind of a combined project, and we'll explore all the different possible funding mechanisms. Right now, we're carrying about $3 million in our capital fund, our capital budget, as a placeholder for this project for all local funding. Obviously, we want to see if we can get some outside funds.
We had originally approved the funding for the engineering study on this. I think, was it last year? I think it was. It was in the current budget that we're in.
Yes.
2022 capital budget. Okay. Anything further? If not, is there a motion to approve the awarding of the contract to GCA Deal Environmental Inc. For the amount of $175,481.85 for the purposes Jim described?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Alternate.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let me try your minds. Selectman Federici? Thank you. Those in the room?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, recusals, hearing none, motion carries. Items 5.2, consider take possible action on improvements to Mountain Trail.
Okay, if you recall, a month or two ago, I was here, we were talking about Mountain Trail, which is a B1 minimum maintenance road in the Westlake Shores neighborhood. That is a very steep road, short but very steep, and then it continues on to a section of Lone Pine Trail, and then it kind of splits to Lone Pine and Mountain Trail for the steepness area. And we've had a problem because a few years back, Public Works had put millings on the road in an attempt to resurface it, because we do, after plowing in the wintertime, do fill potholes and things, and this is a problematic road because of the steepness of it, that it does end up having usually issues in the spring. And I believe they had decided to put millings on it in an attempt to try and hopefully, improve the road, but it ultimately unraveled and has caused erosion and a lot of potholes and unevenness. And so looking to try and stabilize the road, I did get a proposal from Tilcon. They went out and looked at it with me to see what we could do, and they felt that reclaiming the road, reshaping it, regrading it, and then paving it was probably the best alternative. A little bit of curbing added. Public Works would need to adjust the catch basin tops that are on the road, and also clean the catch basins out, obviously, since we have some erosion going on into the drainage system. And I was pleased to see that the price was, I thought, pretty reasonable at $44,000. the reclaiming has to occur because there was evidence of paving in the past of that road. I found in the engineering files, letters that date back to the 1983, where there was a gentleman, and I'm not sure his relation to the road or the neighborhood itself. Mr. Ernest Johnson had agreed to pay for the asphalt. And I believe based on the letters, it sounded like Public Works would put the asphalt down as long as either the resident or the person in charge of the association or owner of the roads, I'm not exactly sure what is, would pay for the actual materials. So, and there's evidence that there's some old pavement out there. So just regrading it is gonna be not sufficient, and you have to actually grind it all up, reclaim it, and then regrade it, and then pave it. So, you know, we can, as you know, we've had some complaints from the neighborhood. It is in poor shape. The road's in rough shape right now to even drive on. So I would recommend that the town, even though it is a B1 minimum maintenance road, maybe take this one-time effort to clean up kind of the mess that was left in the last effort to clean up the mess. And, you know, expend the monies and maybe, you know, with an understanding that this is kind of a, you know, one-time thing, and the neighborhood has, you know, various forms of paved and unpaved roads, and they don't seem to have an association that really is responsible for the roads.
I think, Janice, just a quick description of B1 maintenance. B1 road, minimum maintenance road, is that we're not responsible for maintaining other than the passability of it for emergency vehicles and or school buses.
Yeah, I forgot to bring the description, but basically it says that we would plow it if there's residents living on it. And then subsequent to that, we would potholes that happen as a result of plowing, if it's a, you know, dirt road or a gravel road, which is typically what we do around town for B1 minimum maintenance. But it also says we will not oil and tar it, you know, it's so that, you know, the paving of it is kind of in contrast to what the description of a B1 minimum maintenance road is. But given the steepness, I don't think just trying to go out there and clean it up is going to be a long-term solution, especially since there is no association in that neighborhood that seems to take responsibility for the roads. So it's going to end up being a constant nuisance for our public works crews to have to keep fixing the road. And I think if we pave it, we can pave it and probably walk away from it for probably 20 to 30 years.
And the other problem of the detritus or whatever it is from the road going into the lake will be.
That'll go away. So yeah, any material that's making its way from the road into the lake, that material will no longer be eroding into the drainage system and making its way there. So in an effort we'll clean up the catch basins, see if we can clean the pipes that are there. I was asked to look at the outfall of the lake, but while there may be some materials from the road in the lake, there's also a lot of siltation and things that are well beyond the responsibility of what's come from the road, in my opinion. So I'm not recommending we do anything in the lake, because that will open a whole nother level of permitting and, you know, complication. So if the association wants to do anything with their beach area or that area of the lake, then I think it would be more appropriately on them to handle that. I think, you know, maintaining the road has been something we've always done to a certain degree, and this will just be a little extra step.
I think we've explained the reason why we're going to go the extra mile on this, even though it's this B1 class that theoretically we wouldn't have to. So it's very clear to me speaking, but going forward, and I'm sure you're doing this, we want to be sure that when somebody's looking at this 10 years from now, they understand what we did and what we didn't, and what we said we were going to do once and what we said we weren't going to do again.
Yeah, so I would suggest that we, you know, if you do entertain to approve this, that, you know, make the motion that if you've done this one time, put it, you know, as I found information in the file, I'll put it in our file, you know, that this was a decision because of the current situation. We are only looking at paving to the top of the hills. We're not, the remainder of the roads, both Lone Pine Trail and Mountain Trail, will remain as gravel roads. We're not looking to go beyond what is necessary to stabilize and stop this erosion problem that continues.
I agree wholeheartedly with the rationale. The mitigating factor here is we did something to that road that has resulted in the current problem. So it is, I think it's incumbent upon us to at least make a good faith effort to rectify that. I may not find meeting minutes from the Board of Selectmen about that particular decision to do what we did on that road many years ago. So at least there will be, as we just discussed, there'll be in the motion, we will clearly indicate it's a one time, and there'll be minutes of that future boards will be able to rely on. So.
And Matt, I have a question.
Certainly, look.
Sort of in furtherance of what Sandy was saying, is there an association there that is otherwise responsible? I mean, is there some way of having confirmation from the neighbors that they understand this position and that they're on board with the one-time fix, and just some documentation on that side of the discussion?
Well, the challenge is that having talked with Keith Shove, who mentioned earlier, the association doesn't take responsibility for the roads. It's been an ongoing problem.
Right.
So, I mean, we can address it to them, but, you know.
I guess my question is more along the lines of not trying to dump it on them right now, but just understanding that in their minutes and that there was a discussion before them that this is what's happening, and that they have some record of our decision. So when somebody goes and looks at this in 25 years, there's some information on that side of the equation as well.
Yeah, I mean, we could send them a letter to let them know.
Sure, maybe that gets us there. I think that makes some sense.
I have a similar question that's a little bit off topic, but there are other associations in town that are take responsibility for roads and beaches and so on. Is that all voluntary? For those, is there any reason that this should be an active association?
Well, it is an active association in that they have a clubhouse and a beach and a property they own and maintain, but they haven't bothered to take the step to deal with the roads. You know, I haven't really researched too much. I mean, I did research enough to find that back in the development itself was created in the 1930s with a map called Westlake Shores, which is, you know, basically the layout of the neighborhood. And then in the early 40s, the town did accept certain roads as town roads. And then the remainder were left, you know, not town roads. And then in the 1961 overall classification of roads throughout town, they then subsequently categorized most of them as B1 minimum maintenance, some are B2 minimum maintenance, and then some are A1s. And it's just an odd scenario. I didn't do a full title search to even understand who this Ernest Johnson was at the time, and who, you know, so it could be that really the roads probably, you know, could still be owned by the original developer of the you know, the layout of the neighborhood, but who that is and their heirs, they're obviously not involved. And then I don't know how the association came about in terms of, you know, owning that one property and kind of having the clubhouse and stuff at the lake, and why it didn't go a step further to maintain any of the roads. Yeah, but there are some neighborhoods that are more proactive with their roads. While we still may plow them and call them B1 minimum maintenance, they do maintain them. So it's varied throughout town in terms of who does what or doesn't do what on some of these association roads.
Anything further? All right, is there a motion to approve the paving of a portion of Mountain Trail, Genesis Drive for the amount of $44,000, acknowledging that this is a one-time event on an improvement of this type for a B1 minimum maintenance road, owing to the previous involvement with the town in terms of trying to rectify that the problems that were existed at the time, which now need to be addressed. Second. I made the motion.
You made the motion. I'll second it.
Rather than somebody try to reclaim that one.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Any further comments or questions? Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici?
Aye.
Those in the room?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, recusals, motion carried. Thank you, Janice. Okay, let's move on to 5.3. Consider and take possible action on the construction of the pedestrian pathway connecting the neighborhoods of Briarwood Drive and Marvel Road. The floor is yours again.
Okay, we're in the same neighborhood, different road. Marble Road is a B1 minimum maintenance road in the Westlake Shores neighborhood. And it does have a 30-foot right-of-way that then connects to the temporary cul-de-sac of Briarwood Drive. Briarwood Drive is an A1 town road, which was the result of multiple subdivisions and extended several times to its point at the end where it meets the right-of-way of Marble Road. Briarwood Drive is about a mile long and it's a cul-de-sac. It has no other way in and out, which is an oddity, not an ideal situation in terms of access for a very long dead-end street. So it obviously would benefit in terms of an emergency services connection. The other thing was when Safe Streets Task Force first started off and they were looking for ways to better create connectivity between neighborhoods and generally through town. One of the low hanging fruits that I had discussed with Sam Garrett's was, there are neighborhoods where there are either pedestrian easements that were created during subdivision time or there's right-of-ways that aren't improved that can, offer itself as a place to make improvements, to make connections. There's already evidence of some sort of pedestrian path connecting Marble to Briarwood because there is a wetland and stream that goes through this area that has a wood planks over it where you could see people walk, and there's some walking paths that are obvious. So this would be an improvement to that existing trail, taking the existing right-of-way and creating a 12-foot wide path, and we're going to 12 feet because of the emergency services connection component of this. We did receive a letter from the fire department supporting this, emergency connection. It would be gated off so that it wouldn't be open to vehicle traffic, only in the case of an emergency. And it would also serve as a walking and biking connection between Briarwood and Marble, which is a nice connection, really, if you think about it, on the that part of town. To the south is the high school, and to the just to the north is Baldwin Middle School and Bittner Park. So it does connect, and it's an off Long Hill Road pedestrian connection, which is a little safer in a lot of aspects for children to either walk or ride their bikes and connect to some of these other neighborhoods and these amenities, town amenities. So it seemed like an obvious place to do an improvement. We have an application before the Inland Wetlands Commission. We've asked them to table it until we get through, this process. There was some concern by the neighbor directly adjacent to the right-of-way. Their house, sits there right now at the end of a dead-end road. They were just concerned they have some drainage problems there, which I believe our project would actually help them in that respect, because we're gonna pitch the new path so that it's away from them, and it will therefore hopefully mitigate some of the water that comes down on the hillside across from them and keep it into the wetland as opposed to going right across to them. So we're working to make sure that that situation is accommodated in the project if the project moves forward, so we're not exacerbating their current drainage problems that they're having with their location at the bottom of a hill and adjacent to a wetland. So I think it's a great connection for the neighborhoods. And it's a project that's supported obviously by the Safe Streets Task Force. They also submitted a letter of support for the project as well.
Thank you, Janice. Questions?
In terms of cost to the town, it's all in-house work.
Right.
Can you give us an idea of sort of what's required in terms of manpower and materials?
Michael's worked with Public Works. I think it would probably take them probably a week's time or so to do it. I mean, we have to put in some pipe to cross the stream. We're thinking of building up with some stone to create the grading that we're talking about so that we're not dumping more water on the folks on the downstream side. So, and then it'll be the processed stone materials. So we haven't done a full takeoff to give you an exact budget, but it will be minimal cost given we'll use all our own folks. And, you know, Tom Fillion thinks it's a great project too for emergency access. If you have a tree down across that road, you know, it gives you an alternative way to get in if there's an emergency while, you know, things are cleaned up and things like that. So I think it's a worthwhile project that it's not a, you know, a huge area for them to work, but, you know, maybe take about a week's time for them to do the work.
And it's, we also have on the drawing boards a project for Briarwood Drive, which is a complete reclamation of that street, which includes you know, the roads as well as all the catch basins and so on,
Right.
right? So.
Yeah, we're looking to get the road repaved because it's an older road and we're actually gonna reclaim it and then repave it, replace all the catch basin tops. Tom's already done some work on one of the culverts that needed to be relined. That was done this past winter. So we're prepping, you know, to get that done later in the season, hopefully.
That effort alone could result in several challenges in terms of passageway while they're reconstructing that road. So having the ability to get emergency vehicles in from either side.
Another, yeah, an alternate location would be, yeah.
It's more than just the trees. Okay. Anything further? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion. Second.
Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, let me try your minds. Selectman Federici.
Hi, sounds like a good idea.
Those in the room?
Aye.
Aye. And, opposed, abstentions or recusals? Hearing none, motion carries. Item 4, discuss and take possible action on the construction of a pedestrian pathway connecting Long Hill Road to Ledge Hill Road.
Right, this is another one of those low-hanging fruit connections that were identified early on by this task force, looking at existing right-of-ways that may be able to make these connections. This right-of-way exists where Ledge Hill Road used to connect down to Long Hill Road, actually in this right-of-way, and then at one point in time, they, because of the steepness of the hill, had relocated around to the south. And so this right-of-way remains still a town right-of-way. And so it's an opportunity to connect the neighborhoods to the west, which it intersects right by, what's that, West? I forgot the name of the street there. West Street? Wilbur's, thank you. Wilbur's is right there at the intersection, so it connects that neighborhood over and provides a nice safe path for people to get up to Meeting House Hill and Melissa Jones without having to go around and up the hill, either along Long Hill or Ledge Hill. So it's kind of a nice shortcut. It's kind of already an open area. There's some trees, but they're young trees because of the fact that it used to be a roadway in the past. So it really doesn't require too much improvements to really make it a, you know, a usable path.
So it's some clear cutting of some growth.
Yeah, some smaller growth needs to be cut down, and then a little bit of regrading, and then some surface treatment, like a processed stone or stone dust treatment, just to keep it a, you know, a usable path. Here, we're only going to the 8 feet because it's going to be for, you know, walkers and bicyclists, and it's not intended to be for emergency vehicles or anything like that.
Any further questions? No. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second. Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici.
Aye.
Those in the room?
Aye.
That carries unanimously. Don't even have to ask for the others. Janice, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, item 6, Parks and Recreation Director, Rick Maynard. Come on down, Rick.
Good morning.
Good morning. Start with 6.1, consider take possible action to contract with DATCO for bus services for Parks and Recreation summer programs.
So this is mostly for our Get Out, Way Out travel camp. We do about 32 trips for a week, for 8 weeks. We had 3 quotes. One of them backed out. Durham Bus Services said they no longer had a contract with Durham, and so they pulled out. So we had the other 2 quotes then were for specialty transportation for $23,370. DACO is 23,940. My program staff prefers to go with DACO, even though it's a little less than $600 more. We have potential expanding to a larger size bus if we need it. If we have more kids sign up, we're not limited. We could get a bigger bus, or if we have to separate out more because of COVID, we can get a bigger bus and do that. It has air conditioning and the seats are more comfortable. They're motor coach seats. It's not a motor coach bus, the one we're looking at, but it's motor coach seats in it. Those, more comfortable when they're going to Six Flags or Squamicut. Those are some of the trips they go on. So we request that you approve DACO. They're a little bit more, but we think it's a better bus for the kids for the trips.
Well, one quick question, the additional cost will come out of programming funds?
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions? All right, is there a motion to approve awarding the contract to DACO buses for the get out, way out trips in the amount of $23,940?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
those in the room?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 6.2, discuss and take possible action to award bid number 6-2122, Cox Elementary School lower field irrigation improvements.
So we have just one bid on that, Winterberry Irrigation, which is the company that does most of our contracting work anyway, but nobody else bid on it. The original bid included top dressing, aerating, fertilizing, seeding, and mowing, I think 3 to 5 times. And that came very high. It was $51,840. We had $28,000 budgeted. So I talked to Pete Barrett to make sure it was okay to do this. And I went back to the contractor and said, what if you just tell us the irrigation, we can do the rest of it. We can top dress it, we can seed it. Our crew can do that. And so they came back with a price of $28,875, which is close to our budget was $28,000. So I didn't want to come to the board and ask for double what we budgeted for it. And so I thought it'd be reasonable to just do it in-house. I was trying to avoid not having our guys have to do it because they're just really busy. But for that kind of money, it just made sense to have us do the work.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. Is there a motion to approve the award for the irrigation to Winterberry Irrigation in the amount of $28,875?
So moved.
Second.
Anything further? Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici?
Aye.
Those in the room?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstaining, recusals? Hearing none. Motion carries.
Thank you.
You got it. Item 7, environmental planner, Kevin McGee. Morning, Kevin.
Good morning.
7.1 is consider and take possible action to contract with all habitat services for treatment of Lake Quantico aquatic invasive plants under the state contract.
Yes, this is a continuation of our lake management program for Lake Quantico. This past year, for reference, the Lake Quantico Conservation Commission's Lake Quantico Subcommittee hired consultants to kind of review and create a lake management plan, helping with advice and with the management of the lake there. This treatment is within the guidelines of that plan. And it's a similar it's the same treatment that we've done last year. And there's past concerns with glyphosate being used. There's no use of glyphosate. And then this year's treatment as well was last year. There's no use of glyphosate there. We'll be treating the upper portion of the lake and the lower portion of the lake with this treatment here. And we're hoping to get the treatment done by the end of June, so it doesn't interfere with the recreation program at the lake there.
Okay.
And as noted, the cost is $19,321.75, and half of this cost will be covered by a grant we have from the state.
Okay.
It's a 50-50 cost sharing grant that we have.
Got it.
As part of this, also the Ag Experiment Station will be doing a survey of the lake, looking for those rare and threatened species that are in the lake there that we need to monitor on a yearly basis.
Kevin, thank you for bringing up the issue of the glyphosate. So we had some community engagement along that item last time we did this. So the mere fact that it is not one of the chemicals that is currently being used, despite the fact that Connecticut DEP does allow the use of that, I think is a concession to the concerns raised by some members of our community. So thank you for that. Thank you for that clarification.
And once we get the date and rain dates there, we'll make that known to the Friends of Lake Quinnipiac to notify their constituents through their email systems there, and also we'll be placing it on the town social media page and trying to get notices around the lake as appropriate.
Any further? Is there a motion to approve first?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any further comments or questions?
In the past, if I understand correctly, we've discussed the fact that one of the reasons that we need to do this so much is that the property owners around the lake are treating their lawns and things like that that are causing this situation or exacerbating it. Is that correct?
The nitrogen and stuff from the yards help, promote the growth of the weeds along their property lines there. Right now, this plant's just after invasive ones that interfere with the swimming within the town piece and the boating within the main lake. We're not going along their personal properties there to do treatments unless there's a invasive aquatic plant within that location there.
Okay. All right, this is what we need to do.
So we're on a plan, hopefully, where we can reduce the quantity of the invasives in the center portion of the lake, and then hopefully go into a 5-year plan is helping then move into hopefully a spot treatment if everything goes correctly. It's, as you know, weeds in your yard, you try your best, but they always keep sprouting up. So we're doing our similar thing here.
Also, Rick, we take another measure to try to control weeds with the mats. Are we still using those?
We did this year because Greg Bugby, who works with from the ag station, he surveyed it early on and said it wasn't too bad this year. So this year we didn't get them out in the beach, but we've been doing it for 6 years maybe in a row now. And it does, it's very effective.
All right, thank you. Okay, we have a motion on the table?
Yeah.
Any further questions or comments? Selectman Federici?
Aye.
Those in the room?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Item 7.2, discuss and take possible action on the purchase of a John Deere 2032, that's not a year, I take it?
No, that's the model
That's the
number.
model number R, compact utility tractor with accessories under the source well contract.
So it's indicated, I think we'll see how it goes today. Item necessary, very helpful item for management of our open spaces. It's a compact John Deere tractor. It's small to get through the woods road type trails we have within the open space areas. And also has with the attachments there, be able to maintain paths around the big fields that we have at the East River Preserve, and we have other properties where we need to do more invasive plant management in terms of nuisance invasives, in terms of field properties we have. We have the Braymore Preserve, which we have cut once a year, and there's a couple other smaller pieces, 2 acres in size and stuff that we need to maintain to keep the woody vegetations out of those, to maintain those as a meadow type fields for the pollinator plants and stuff there. So with the attachments, have the backhoe, which will help maintain trails, basically diverting water so it doesn't run down steep hillsides. So that helps with that capacity there, or even kind of lifting a log up a little bit so they can cut it, so they're not cutting the blade into the ground, and then we keep resharpening our chainsaw blades there. Has a brush hog and also a post hole digger. I've been putting in quite a few new kiosks, and also on the larger pieces there, we've been putting in need to keep maintaining posts for property boundaries along a couple of our properties there, and replacing fence posts on their parking areas there, bluff head parking, Brentmore parking and stuff there. So all that helps save our employees' backs and hopefully keeps them out of the injuries down, which has a higher cost than probably we're looking at here for this machine here.
Great.
So
Okay. This is part of our capital budget.
it's approved as part of the capital as the upcoming 22-23 budget process there. They talking with the vendor here, and the reason why we're early is with supplies and stuff like that. We're potentially looking at a 6-month lead time here, so we just want to get this in the process.
If memory serves, I think we also talked about the possibility that this could be used by other departments.
Correct, yep, for Park and Rec, Public Works and stuff, it's a smaller machine than they have there. So it allows for doing final grading and stuff on the sides of the roads or getting to spots where a heavier machine would do damage to properties and stuff there.
Got it.
We rejected this for years.
Couple years.
I know, I
Now
feel
we
like
find-
it's something you've asked for before, but
What did we think?
didn't make it to the final.
Yeah.
And they said this is available through the Sourcewell contracting service there.
Since we don't give him all the money he wants for trees, maybe this is
Yes.
make up.
Yeah, Matt, I had sort of a similar comment. I mean, this is not just coming out of nowhere. Obviously, this has been through the capital budget process. And, you know, it's been a necessary item and we're finally getting to it.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, that being said, is there a motion to approve the purchase of a John Deere 2032R compact utility tractor from GH Equipment and Sales for the amount of $43,795.27?
Yes, so moved.
I'll second.
There we go, we'll all second it.
We gotta give you a chance, Lou.
I get on the board, right?
You can have a second. That's it. All right, let me try your minds, Selectman Federici.
Aye.
Those in the room?
Aye.
The motion is unanimous and carries. Kevin, thank you very much.
Once it gets closer, I'll probably be in for a trailer for that, but it's several months out.
There we go. That was approved originally anyway, right?
That's also as part of the capital expense there.
Okay, item 8, consider and take possible action on an ordinance amendment to extend the temporary moratorium on cannabis establishments in the town of Guilford as a result of the earlier public hearing. Is there a motion to extend the moratorium to
So moved.
December 31st,
So moved.
2022? Second. Any further comments or questions from the board members?
Nope.
Okay, good. I will make one. I think rather than have tried to rush this through a process for the sake of rushing it through a process, and the excitement, not excitement, but the enthusiasm Jamie Stein has for community engagement in these types of projects, I think it makes all the sense in the world to give ourselves that kind of cushion. So,
I think the survey has only really been publicized pretty much in May. I mean, we need time to get as many people as possible to fill out the survey and then digest the results of the survey. So we really honestly need this time.
I hope we don't go all the way till end of December. It would be nice to have it done sooner.
Sure.
I can't think of any question where community involvement is more essential than this one.
and in some preliminary discussions, Jamie and I have had community engagement over summertime is often difficult. So we're teeing this up for September early or early October to engage the community in a series of discussions, which would give us the opportunity to do something. The data that we will have collected, is still valid, I think. I don't think we're going to change people's minds between, May and September. So we'll be moving that.
And
All right.
another interesting byproduct of delaying this a little bit is that we're seeing what other towns are doing. Not that we have to do what other towns are doing, but it's interesting because if everyone else denies this, then Guilford becomes the place that's known for, beautiful green and cannabis, and it's something that might be behind.
Well, we don't want to always be the outlier. Sometimes we don't mind being the outlier.
Exactly.
We're the leader, right?
Mhm.
All right, we have a motion on the table. Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici?
Aye.
Those in the room?
Aye.
Aye. That motion is unanimous and carries. Item 9, discuss and take possible action on the noise ordinance variance application for the Guilford Fair. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second? Any comments or questions? I dare say that if we denied this, we'd probably run out of town,
That's right.
right? So, let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Yes.
those in the room?
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries unanimously. Item 10, appointments and resignations. Is there remove from the 10.1, remove from the table, and take possible action on the appointment of Elizabeth Kozarek to the Historic District Commission for a term to expire January 31st, 2027. First, is there a motion to remove from the table?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Let me try your minds on that. Selectman Federici?
Aye.
Those in the room?
Aye.
Just as a refresher, we tabled this because I wanted to talk to the chair of the Historic District Commission, Randy McCarty, who's the one that actually encouraged Elizabeth to apply for this position. Her background, I think, as you might recall, pretty extensive. They make her one of the leading, not leading, but one of the more not professional, with a professional background, having a professional background that would serve that committee very well. So is there a motion to approve, to appoint Elizabeth Kozarek to the Historic District Commission for a term to expire January 31, 2027?
I'll make the motion. I have a comment, but I'll wait for the second.
Second.
Wasn't this also because you wanted to be sure that an alternate had an opportunity
Yes.
Yes,
before moving somebody new right to the position?
absolutely.
And we got that cleared
We
up?
got that cleared up
Okay,
through the chair.
that's my comment.
Thank you very much for reminding me of that point. All right, anything further? Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici? That's an aye. I can read lips.
I'm trying to hit it with the mute button or the space bar, and I don't always hit it clean.
That was an aye, we take it, right? Those in the room? Aye. That motion carries unanimously. 10.2, act on a recommendation to appoint Kurt Griffin as an alternate to the Shellfish Commission to fill a vacancy for a term to expire on February 28, 2024. I'd like to make that motion, acknowledging that it's very rare that members who are getting appointed come to see us. So it's particularly those that
Yes,
we
very
don't know,
nice. Yes.
that we're not familiar with, or or reappointing. But thank you very much. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you very much for your willingness to serve.
Thank you.
And your obvious enthusiasm for it. You showed up for an 8:30 board of selectmen meeting. It's either that or you don't sleep late anymore, like me.
Well, I do.
All right, let me try your minds. Selectman Federici.
Aye.
Those in the room?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstaining, motion carried unanimously. I'm sorry. 10.3, act on a recommendation to reappoint Joseph Kentucky to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term to expire on February 28th, 2026. Is there a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici?
Aye.
Those in the room?
Aye.
Aye. That motion is unanimous. Item 11, request for use of town property. 11.1, act on a request from the Guilford Lions Club to use a green on June 14th, 2022 for its Flag Day observance. I would like to make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Matt, I just have a question.
Yes.
It's not clear from this application, or maybe I'm just not seeing it. What flag are they proposing to fly?
Well, this is the American flag. The Lions.
I mean, what
Club-
else could it be, right? But it just doesn't. So
Right, and
how's that
also-
going to be any different from what we're already doing?
Well, we also bring the fire department truck down with the huge flag that goes off the boom on the ladder truck. And that gets displayed. No other flags.
So basically, they're just doing a pledge to the flag. They're not proposing to fly any different flag.
No, they are not. Well,
Okay, so it's a ceremony.
Technically, yes, they are going to put a flag up, but it's not on the flagpole. It'll be off the boom on the ladder truck. I don't know if you've seen that one. It's 50 feet long or whatever.
I think I got it. Okay, I think I understand. I mean, it sounds like a commendable thing. It's Flag Day. It's sounds like it's appropriate. I just wanted to understand what was being proposed exactly. It's just a tiny bit unclear from the application. That's fine, thanks.
Ed Montague, who has kept this alive, this celebration alive for many years, is the one who's responsible for making sure that this happens, and we are honoring the flag. So, and just for those of you who are noticing or can see this, that will give me the opportunity to wear this tie again. Today's observance is for D-Day, but that's not.
I thought it might be for D-Day.
You're right. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici.
Aye.
Those in the room?
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries unanimously. 11.2, act on a request from the Henry Whitfield Museum to place a sign on the green advertising its Make Music Day taking place June 21, 2022. Is there a motion?
So moved.
A second. Any comments or questions? Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici.
Aye.
Those in the room?
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously. 11.3, act on a request from the Guilford Agricultural Society to place a sign on the green advertising its Guilford Fair taking place September 16th through the 18th, 2022. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And a second. Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici.
Aye.
Those in the room?
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries unanimously. 11.4, act on a request from the George Church of Knights of Columbus to place a sign on the green advertising its carnival taking place August 9th through 13th, 2022. Is there a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici.
Aye.
Those in the room?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 11.5, act on a request from Sarah Foundation to place a sign on the green advertising its Summer Breeze Riding taking place July 10th, 2022. They are asking for a 4-week placement as opposed to the traditional 2-week placement, which they could probably say, could we have 2 subsequent?
Yeah.
So,
So if our rule is 2 weeks and they're asking for 4 weeks, I don't see any indication here of a reason why they believe that
yeah.
there should be an exception for this. I don't know why we decided on
Right.
2 weeks to begin with, but
I mean, at the top right corner, it says they're looking to purchase 4 weeks. I mean, are they saying they're going to put in 2 applications basically, and they're just folding it on the one piece of paper?
Could be.
maybe
They
that's
did
it.
provide they provided 2 checks in case you approved it.
There you go. So good call. All right, so we really are approving 2-week placements of signs on the green. We're good with that? Good. Is there a motion?
So
I'll make a motion.
There you go.
Lou made it. Second.
Sandy, in a second. Good. Okay. Try your minds, Selectman Federici.
Aye.
Those in the room?
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously. The late addition to the agenda, 11.6, Guilford Green Clean Air Painters for Ukraine, for a fundraiser to raise funds to heal Ukraine. This has also been approved by the Green Committee. Came to us late. However, is there a motion?
So moved, but I do have a question.
A second.
So are we comfortable that this is a 501c3 organization, and I'm not clear how to fundraise?
Well, Tracy, you I was not here when this came in on Friday, so I did not have a chance to query it. Tracy?
I'm seeing, I'm sorry, silent auction is on the second page. I didn't see that the first time. I guess that's answer my own
That's
question
it.
there.
There you go.
But as far as being a 501c,
Tracy, you want to talk about that?
They established the group just for this one event. They are fundraising for a nonprofit organization.
And do we have the name of that nonprofit?
The Heal for Ukraine is a nonprofit.
Okay. So I think technically we should have Heal for Ukraine either co-sponsor or sign the permission, right?
yeah, we should. And
What's the date they're looking to do? September 10th? We've got time.
this time, and insurance
Yeah.
launch needs to be in someone else's name.
Right. All right, Trey, we'll go back. So is there a motion to table this?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
On the table, let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye, the table.
those in the room?
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries unanimously. Item 12, committee reports. Let's see. And then item 13, correspondence. Did I send something along to everyone, or did I have a correspondence? I guess not. All right, old business, basketball courts. Update, for those who are most interested, Julie, on the basketball courts, we continue to make progress, with the respective department heads, and planning agencies that they are using. The current thinking is we're going back to the original concept, which was for the fire department, 2 additional bays on the north side of the property, which would be to the right as you look at it. And yes, that will fit with the appropriate turning radius between the new extension on that building and the fire and police, the emergency services training thing that's going in. That was there last Thursday, was it? I believe last Thursday when they were actually bringing in the units. I don't know if you've had a chance to see it, but they're large containers that are stacked, built with passageways and doors. But I have confirmed that there will be significant turning radius to allow it to happen there. And the police department and person of Butch Hyatt and persons of Butch and Chris Massey, Chief and Deputy Chief, are working with the planning agencies to accommodate what they're going to actually need and redesign the footprint around their particular parcel of property. So at this point, we have some progress. As you may recall, we did constitute or appoint a task force to look into it if we needed to get to that point. So we will continue to go along the process. Quite honestly, it's my hope that the results of the process that's currently underway will obviate the need for that task force to ever have to meet in terms of those courts.
So just the training part is there, and we now think, but it's not confirmed, that there might be a place to do the storage unit other than where the basketball courts are. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying, particularly as it relates to the fire department, because as you may recall, when they came to us originally, there were 2 separate capital
Yes,
projects that
yes.
came to us. And neither of those projects included taking out the basketball courts. So now we're going back to the original, and I think it was, I thought it was, at the time, I thought it was very appropriate. The 2 departments got together and said, wait a second, both have capital projects on the same piece of property. Shouldn't we be looking at something that's more effective and efficient as opposed to doing 2 separate buildings? So we are back to a much more serious evaluation of the capacity to put together what the police department needs. The fire department is basically established for the simple reason that the original design of that building stubbed out all the mechanicals on that north wall. Okay, so it was designed that way for potential future growth, which also talks to the expectation that we've had from the outset of that public safety facility, that footprint would allow for growth in terms of whatever we need on that property. Now, if this works out well, basketball courts will stay where they are, and we will be able to shoehorn in what's needed.
Yeah, and we'll continue with the plan to light the courts at Adams and so on.
We're going to take a look. Yeah, we're going to continue to take a look at that, and that may be something that the task force could be beneficial for if those members are still interested in participating for that purpose, as opposed to solely for the purpose of preserving them where they are. And again, that probably also obviates the need for an additional basketball court up at Bittner, but the demand for pickleball courts continues to grow, and there's an opportunity to reorient the skate park, which is at the parking lot end, to reorient that, just to turn it, it's supposed to be in this way, turn it this way. Then the basketball court is here. We'd be able to move that, reorient that, and create some additional pickleball courts. This is all conceptual at this point, all conceptual.
And also possibly light.
And light that area.
Could that be some COVID funds, perhaps?
Yes, absolutely.
So, and back to the Adams one, I think that this is a small concern, but I think we shouldn't lose it, that if there is a basketball court at Adams, we should make it as functional as we can, because it sounded like it was a little bit neglected.
Yes.
And because Charlie isn't here, I have to bring this up in Charlie's honor. If those storage sheds get built, then we can potentially address some of the issues we have with Graves Avenue and Boston Street
No
building,
question.
right? Because that's really an important component of it. Kind of came as a sideline, but it really honestly is something we really need to think about.
It is absolutely critical
Yeah.
to the long-term
Yeah. Yeah.
determination of what we do with Graves Avenue, which has a significant number of possibilities for us. From as simple as putting it back on the tax rolls, which may not be the highest, best use for that property, to developing it for community use, finding possibly developers to work with us on doing something in a public-private partnership.
Unless we have a group that wants to save the Graves Avenue storage space. I mean, we do want to save it, but not for storage.
The building
Sorry, got a
is,
little carried away.
building is unique and
Yes.
and could be preserved, there's no
Yes.
question about it.
For some better use.
Yes,
Yes.
and if it's not gonna get turned into commercial or residential or retail space,
Right.
I think preservation of that,
Yeah,
that
I was-
facade would be very important. So, anyway, that's the update.
Thank you.
I'm gonna break from tradition, so you don't have to wait until public forum. Is there any question that you had relative to that, Julie? Because you have been here at every meeting for at least the last 5 months.
Yeah, I think so. Well, it's interesting you brought the pickleball. I'd be interested to be on the pickleball task force for more pickleball courts.
Okay.
I think that's really something that's needed, and what you just spoke about was just right on with adding more pickleball courts up there, and maybe possibly paving that parking lot eventually once the pickleball courts went in, but I don't know with funding how that gets appropriated, or will there be some fundraising that I can help with? That would be.
Thank you for that offer. Not that we are awash in American Rescue Plan funds, but we do have funds still available for purposes like that. We were fully intending to fund the build of additional basketball courts if need be with American Rescue Plan money if we lost them there. So I think, yes, it's always wonderful if we could get community engagement, community support for it, but at some point we may ask you to help in that regard, but at this point I wouldn't anticipate having to do that.
Thank you. Thanks for all your work on the basketball, trying to keep it where
You're welcome.
the safest place where it is.
You're welcome. And I do agree on the pickleball, as does Lou, because I think last Wednesday night I beat him like a rented mule. Gotcha.
Nice,
No,
nice.
Actually, you and I did beat two of our friends.
But who's counting?
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else with any other old business? New business? All right, we are going to be going into executive session on a couple of items. So we'll entertain public forum at this point. Chris?
I spoke with Tracy.
Right.
So pursuant, can I?
Yeah, come on.
All right. Chris Whitmer, Green Planet Company.
Yep.
We had, so pursuant to the tax abatement ordinance that was passed on February 7th, I believe, we're gonna be bringing forth our first home buyer.
Good.
Congratulations. We've completed phase one. We're starting phase two. Phase one involved the construction of the first two homes,
right.
Both of which have been sold. And the first home buyer really didn't, at this time, doesn't qualify for the tax abatement. But the second buyer does. And what I'd like to do is begin to establish the process by which we do that.
Right.
And so speaking with Karen Kravitz, your outside counsel, about that, I know we have to submit a formal request.
Right.
And there would be, I'm assuming, a list of documents that we need to sort of gather together and present. So what I'd like to do is just sort of kind of brief you in terms of her. So she does meet the 80%
Okay.
criteria. And really needs the tax abatement.
Right.
So we're in a position now where her bank is basically saying, well, what are her taxes going to be? And we can't really say that until we've actually established the abatement. We might be able to estimate that, but I think maybe what I might suggest is that there's like a two-part approval process. One is to establish that the home and the buyer meet the criteria before we sort of drill down and get the actual numbers. Waiting for the tax assessor's office to give us a final assessment of the property.
Okay.
But we've done some estimates based on we have a 65% assessment
Completion assessment.
at this point. And so what we'd like to do is maybe talk to you guys about getting her sort of in the pipeline so we can move forward with the closing.
Absolutely, Chris. I think we always contemplated, we just didn't do it, putting the back end process,
Right.
As an old sales guy, details were something I always didn't like to handle. But you're absolutely right. We always contemplated that we'd be at this point where we need to put process to product. So I'm going to suggest that several of us, or a few of us, get together to try to work that process through. Would be town council, possibly Karen Kravitz, but at least at Pete's advisement would be Karen Kravitz. I also want to engage Jamie Stein, who is actually on here, because Jamie is rapidly becoming, or has been, a huge advocate for housing here in the community. She's more than appropriate in her role as town planner. So I think, and that would also include the assessor and the tax collector. So we will put process to the product, and we'll start to do so very quickly.
Is there an interim step that we can, because she's been patiently waiting to close on the house, and her bank has been reluctant to close without some indication of what the estimated taxes are going to be, which to me is not such a big deal, but because her income is of a certain level that if she doesn't get an abatement, it's not
she's not going to get a mortgage.
She won't, no. So
all right. So I think then the obvious question is, when does Matt Hoy walk downstairs and ask the assessor when that particular property is going to have a final assessment on? Is that what you're asking?
Well, no, not even so much that. It's just that assuming all the other criteria are met, her income level and the property deed restrictions, et cetera, is it possible to just give a sort of a conditional approval to her abatement? We can't put a number to it, but we could establish perhaps an estimate.
As long as we can determine that she does qualify through income statements, or which I'm sure she's got, because she had to do that with the bank, filing for the bank, right?
Yeah.
Well, it would be 2 weeks out from our next meeting. But if we can pull that information together, I'd be happy to pen a letter saying that preliminarily, she meets all the requirements to get the tax abatement.
Something we could present to her bank.
Would that be something that's satisfactory?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Great.
Is that okay?
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Great.
I'll get you the information.
Appreciate it, Chris.
All right.
You always do.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else wishing to address the board in public forum? No? All right, I'll entertain a motion. Let's go into executive session. A second. Let me try your minds, Selectman Feder. I'm going to invite Janice Blasiak, Kevin McGee, Kurt, thank you very much again. And Gary McKelney in for the executive session. Ryan, I hope you found that interesting.
Very much so. Matt, include me, would you?
Pete, yes, sorry, Pete. And Pete.
Okay,
All right, is there a motion to come out of executive session?
so moved.
Second?
Second.
Let me try your minds, Selectman Federici.
Aye.
Those in the room.
Aye.
All right, that motion carries unanimously. In executive session, we discussed 3 items, and we'll be taking action on 2 of them. The first of which is, and I'll make the motion, is that we authorize Land Acquisition Committee to proceed with discussions with a targeted property owner on acquisition of land under the parameters discussed in executive session. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further comments or questions? Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici?
Aye.
Aye. Those in the room?
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries unanimously. The second was in regards to appeals on the elderly tax relief program. We had discussed one, and I think the group is prepared to move forward. We discussed both of them. The board is prepared to move forward with one appeal. The second one is pending further information. So is there a motion for same?
So moved.
Second, any further comments or questions? Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici?
Aye.
Those in the room?
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries unanimously. With that, if there's no other business to conduct, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
So second.
There we go. Let me try your minds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Have a great day, Lou.
Because there was no action on it.
Yes, it was nice. Sorry, it was a scramble today.